And so I think it is important for kids to see two lesbian women kiss each other.
Open up, you open up.
Hi guys, I'm Hannah.
I'm Sadie.
And we're not straight.
And today we wanted to talk to you guys about a topic that we've had a few questions about, which is PDA, or public displays of affection. So we condensed it into 6 different thoughts that we've been having and conversations that we've been having.
Okay, so first, how this all started for us.
Yeah.
When we were creating this YouTube channel, we had to set up our channel page. If you haven't been there, you can go check it out. There's a really cool banner on the top. It's almost like a Facebook cover photo. And then you have what's almost more like a profile picture. We had a really blank cover photo, and so we knew the profile picture should be of our faces. And we had taken a few really cute photos that I love looking at. They make me feel the warm fuzzies inside, where we're kissing. And I don't know if it was kind of like a snap decision where you agreed that we could post one of those.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
So Hannah asked if she could use one of those. And I was like, yeah, they're super cute. And we're talking about our relationship, so why not? That makes sense. And after I shared the channel via a text message with someone, and when I shared the channel, it was like that picture, but big, like blown up. And I had this like knee-jerk reaction of, oh my god, I don't want to be sending people pictures of us kissing. And so we started kind of talking about it more. So that's what this was coming from.
Yeah, so she brought it up with me in the car. She was like, can we talk about this again? I know I said that it was cool, but then I had this moment, and I was like, yeah, let's talk about it. So we took it down. We replaced it with, I think, an equally cute photo of the two of us at Pride, actually. So it feels kind of weird to have pictures of you kissing on the internet if you're going to be sharing that content, or if it's going to be in social media. Like, what's the difference?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that for me, it seems like if someone wants to see that picture, if I post it like on Instagram or something like that, and someone's scrolling through my Instagram pictures and they're looking at my pictures because they've chosen to, that feels like one thing. But if I'm putting it out there and I'm blasting it to people and sharing our channel page with people, and that's what I'm like sending them, I'm like, look, you have to look at this. That's what it feels like to me, is like I'm saying you have to versus them choosing to. And it feels kind of intrusive to me, I guess. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
Kind of. I do think that when we're sharing this channel with people, it's with people who are already interested. But I get what you mean.
Yeah, it just feels like a lot to give them at once, I guess.
Yeah. It's hard to kind of tease apart the different influences on your thoughts for this. Like, I, with my ex-boyfriend, was fine with PDA. Didn't really mind like kissing in public or holding hands or hugging or whatever. I wouldn't necessarily make out with someone in public, but I guess I hadn't really thought much about it.
I feel like I was really different.
Yeah.
And there are so many reasons why I could psychoanalyze myself and try and figure out why I felt this way, but I never wanted to have any sort of PDA because I felt like that was something intimate and personal, and I wanted to keep that in my relationship. And like I said, I think there are many reasons that go into why I thought that. I mean, including like social pressure and my own insecurities and that sort of thing, but that was kind of my practice, and so that was what I was used to, and that's what I think I brought into our relationship. And I think I have grown more accustomed to and more comfortable with PDA with you, but I don't know. I think I'm still growing in that.
And I think part of that's closely tied to, we touched on this a tiny bit in the last video, the way we think about and talk about sex too. I've always been pretty comfortable talking about sex, and I think it's a healthy thing for us to move toward as a society in general, not having so much shame and not fear, but
I think there's a lot of fear around it.
yeah, fear and misinformation and just lack of general knowledge about sex. Maybe those two are tied together for me. Like a lack of shame about that translates to a lack of, and I don't know if it's shame, but a lack of conservatism in myself around that topic translates to this as well.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
There's so much there.
Okay, so the second thing that we started discussing was if we have a lot of PDA in person or online, there's kind of this underlying fear or just worry all the time about how we're perceived and what people's reactions will be.
Yes.
I think there's a number of reasons for that. I think there's just generally a fear and concern around homophobia and people responding negatively, but even just discomfort around people being shocked. We talked about in our last video how a lot of times people don't assume that we're together. They don't assume that we're dating.
Yeah.
And so when they realize that we are, even if it's really innocent and it's really just like surprise, and people are like, okay, then it becomes like we have to respond, and then sometimes people feel uncomfortable, and so they feel like they need to comment positively, and they're like, oh, I love that, like that's great, and they, it just doesn't feel natural sometimes. It doesn't feel organic, because we just have to respond, and people wouldn't do that with a straight relationship. And then I think even more adversely, the fear of kind of negative comments,
which we already get a little bit of for even holding hands.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of forces people to show their cards, I guess.
Most of the time, I would rather just ignore it and not have to deal with it, because there are times that we don't get to ignore it and we do have to deal with it.
Right, and it's like a self-protection a little bit, because you don't know how people are going to react.
Right.
Which brings us to the third point that we wanted to talk about, and is a little bit the antithesis of people hating on our relationship, is people hypersexualizing it. And that seems to happen a lot with relationships between two women. Whether that's in the media or in like the porn industry or in...
Totally.
Yeah, in a really big way. Like people at parties, I can remember even growing up, it was a thing for women to make out for male pleasure. And so when you have a genuine relationship with someone, you become hyper aware of that.
Yeah, it cheapens it by a lot, and it makes it feel like we exist for other people and that we don't exist for ourselves, and that's not true. We are in a relationship because we love each other and we want to be, but it feels horrible to think that could possibly happen. And so again, I feel like in self-preservation, I'm like, no, let's just not, like, none of it. I don't want anyone to misconstrue this as something that they can take from us or that they can use for something for their own pleasure or for their own gaze. And
kind of gives you the like heebie-jeebies to even think about it.
G-A-Z-E, gaze, not G-A-Y-S. Voyeurism.
For the gaze, yeah.
Which is really closely connected to the fourth thing that we were talking about, which is just toxic masculinity, which a lot of times has some really fragile male egos involved.
Yes.
That feel entitled to...
Just gonna say entitled.
Yeah, that feel entitled to comment on or be a part of or express their feelings about our relationship, whether that's make out so I can watch, can I join, all of these things that people haven't said to us personally, but we've heard said to other people, we've heard of said to other people.
And we've gotten the vibe of from
For
men. Sure. Or even like, I could turn you. Like, even just men knowing that there is a lesbian woman in the room is like a threat to some men sometimes. Only because how could a woman dare to not be interested in them?
That's what it feels like. Yeah. that they need to have the power to
Yes.
say, you just don't know what you're missing out on with me. And if you did, you wouldn't want to miss out on it. You'd want in on it. And that's not the case. And I don't think that of myself when I talk to other people. It feels like that is what is projected on to queer relationships between two women. I did it. I said it.
Got him.
That took me a while. It feels like people are trying to steal the power of our relationship, and
Cannot be stolen.
nah.
So if that was the fourth idea, the fifth one is the entire other half of why we struggle with this.
Yeah.
Maybe not the whole thing, but a big part of it is the need to normalize this kind of relationship in the public because it's important. It's important to show loving, affectionate relationships between everything other than what's heteronormal. That's important for kids to see. It really is. And that phrase on its own could feel shocking to people, but it is. It's important for kids to see that. Kids see their parents kiss. They see people in movies kiss. And if they never...
Sleeping Beauty is
exactly
woken up by a kiss.
And it's for
like
kids. And so I think it is important for kids to see two lesbian women kiss each other. I'm getting way too excited about this, but it matters. It matters.
She's right. It does matter.
Yeah.
Visibility matters a ton. It is so important for young people and adults who haven't seen themselves reflected in the people that they look up to or the stories that they're told. It really impacts the way that they see themselves moving through the world. And when I say they, I mean we. That's me too. I'm very included in that.
Yeah. We found an Instagram account, Allie and Sam, if you're out there, you guys are awesome. Just do a finger gun.
Yeah, and a wink and a click.
Nice.
We're cool. We're really cool.
So cool. I don't remember if I found and shared with you or if it was the other way around.
Yeah.
But kind of stumbled upon this Instagram between a lesbian woman and a bisexual woman, much like ourselves, who mostly just posted images of them kissing and being affectionate. And at first, I was even taken aback a little bit with it. I, myself, the bisexual, couldn't even feel comfortable scrolling through image after image of this. So I followed right away because I was like, wow, this is a gap in my person right now. I need to feel comfortable with this because this is who I am, and have been following them ever since. And Instagram now recommends much more LGBTQ content to me anyway. But it's become so much more normal to me, and that's been really healthy. That's been good for me.
Same for me too.
Yeah. I don't remember why I started that rant.
Visibility.
Yeah. Oh, for us. So even in our own lives, that has been huge. And I think that that's part of what has led us to this channel and creating this channel.
Yeah, that was our goal, was to
Yeah.
put content out there that we would want to see.
Yes.
The last thing that we talked about was something that we hadn't really considered until last year when we went to Mexico.
It was so fun.
It was really fun. But I got a little nervous before we went, and I started researching where we were going was LGBTQ friendly, which we went to Cabo, and it is LGBTQ friendly. I think somebody had posted a personal comment about that, and it made me feel a lot more comfortable, but it wasn't anything that I had ever considered before, and that was just kind of a blown up version of what I had been feeling in my daily life, was like moving through the world, showing people who I am on a daily basis just because of who I'm with, and revealing a part of myself that might be something that people disagree with on a fundamental level, that they don't want to see, that they're going to react to. And that freaked me out a lot. And it wasn't anything that I had ever thought about before, and I felt very privileged to have not had to worry about that.
Mm-hmm. Because of where we live.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. And because I hadn't been in a queer relationship prior to this.
Also that.
Yeah. But yeah, on a personal level, I hadn't had to worry about it before.
Yeah.
Which I think makes it even more important. I think a lot of people here have reached out in the comments sharing from their own experience their concern with being in public and being who they are and sharing their sexuality with family or friends or other people that they might come into contact with out in public, and they can only do that in safe spaces online. So I think in keeping with the visibility and normalization of different kinds of relationships between different kinds of people and sexualities, it's really important to create those kind of communities too, because we need people to be safe. People need to be safe wherever they are and be able to be their most authentic selves. And it's not perfect, but we have to preserve these spaces. We have to cultivate this community. And if it's online for right now, for our generation, hopefully we can be the people who create more physical, safe spaces in the world, in different parts of the world, and for all kinds of different people.
And it's been really hard to read those comments, and I can't imagine how hard it would be to live that truth. It helps us remember why we do this.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much everything we had talked about regarding PDA, but if you have other thoughts or comments or questions for us, please leave them in the comments down below. And we are going to do an additional video this week on Friday, so keep your eye out for that. A little musical interlude for this week, so we're going to share some more songs with you, or another song with you.
Yeah.
And then after that, we'll see you on Sunday.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Relationships with two women. And I'm gonna say that again. That's what feels like that. It feels like that is what is projected onto women, two women who are in a relationship. I can't talk. Public displays of affection.
Wow.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want to say a number.
Okay.
Today we wanted to share with you guys a few different thoughts that we had on... Can we do it again?